guilty to 34 criminal charges against him in a Manhattan criminal court on Tuesday. Finland became the 31st member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization Security Alliance. And at least 12 people have been killed and several others injured in a series of attacks in northeast and central Nigeria, officials said. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Former U.S. President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to 34 criminal charges against him in a Manhattan criminal court on Tuesday. The former president arrived at the district attorney's office early Tuesday amid heavy police presence and groups of supporters, where he was placed under arrest and in police custody before the arraignment. The former president pleaded not guilty to 34 charges before the trial judge presiding over the case in the courtroom on the 15th floor of 100 Center Street in New York City. The unprecedented arraignment and indictment of Donald Trump comes after Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has been investigating the former president for hush money payments made leading up to the 2016 presidential election. These include the $130,000 payment made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels and $150,000 to former Playboy model Karen McDougal for their silence on the alleged affairs with Trump. News outlets were not allowed to broadcast the proceedings. In the United Kingdom, at a hearing held on Tuesday at the High Court of England and Wales, Judge Sarah Coughlin ruled in favor of the Cuban Republic, saying that the Vulture Fund CRFI Limited is not a legitimate creditor of the Cuban state. The judicial procedure was set to determine whether the fund had a legitimate claim to Cuban debt or not. Tuesday's court ruling confirmed that irregularities committed by officials from the Central Bank of Cuba during the CRF's alleged acquisition of Cuban financial tools were reasonable grounds for the Cuban government to decline its consent to assign the debt in favor of the fund. It also reaffirmed, as the Caribbean island argued, that the central bank did not have the legal capacity or authority to represent the country. All of the above ratified that the CRF is not a legitimate holder of the financial tools it claimed against Cuba and did not have the right to establish the claim in London. Thereafter, the proceeding will continue only against the Cuban National Bank, which has the right to establish the claims permitted by the English law. In this context, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel on Tuesday expressed his approval of the favorable ruling to Cuba by the High Court of England and Wales, which establishes that the Vulture Fund CRFI Limited was not a creditor of the Caribbean nation state. With the hashtag Cuba Ganó, or in English Cuba Won, the president celebrated not only the recent electoral victory but also this new triumph against what he called enemies of the country in London. In Mexico, a group of social leaders founded the anti-capitalist, anti-racist and popular Feminist International. 200 women gathered for the initial meeting of the Feminist International, a political project based on the ideal of equality and freedom of all people from oppression. Activists and political leaders identified with left-wing movements, particularly in Latin America and Europe, participated in the meeting. At a press conference, 50 women members presented the guidelines of the movement, developed by activists, academics, and social leaders. The document highlighted that anti-capitalism, popular community and class struggles, anti-racism, and environmentalism are core pillars of the organization. The death toll in protests against Peru's president-designate Dina Boluarte rose to 69 after the death on Monday of 37-year-old Manuel Quilla. According to the victim's relatives, Quilla was tortured in a police station in Lima. With his death, there are now 69 deceased in the protests, of which 50 deaths are attributed to extrajudicial executions, according to social organizations monitoring the situation. Quilla had gone to Lima to take part in demonstrations against the government of Dina Boluarte, a situation in which he was surrounded and beaten by the police. According to human rights organization, Quilla's death becomes one more element for the investigations and a key to determining the violations of the regime of Boluarte, who was appointed president by the Congress last September 7th after the ousting of the constitutional president Pedro Castillo. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at teleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. On Tuesday, Finland became the 31st member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization Security Alliance. As part of the protocol, Finnish Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto handed the accession document to the United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who will declare Finland a member in a joining ceremony oversaw by NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg at the organization's headquarters in Brussels. In this sense, Stoltenberg hailed the accession as a good day for Finland's security, for Nordic security, and for NATO as a whole. Finland, alongside Sweden, applied to join NATO in May 2022, setting aside years of military non-alignment policy. In the framework of Finland becoming the 31st member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken hailed the accession as historic.
This is truly a historic day because very shortly, as the Secretary General said, we will be welcoming Finland into the alliance, to its seat at the table.
Meanwhile, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said Finland's accession into the North Atlantic Treaty Organization will lead to countermeasures and risk a significant expansion of the conflict in Ukraine, although he insisted it will not affect the outcome.
Finland will become a member of the NATO alliance in the near future. Of course, all this creates risks of a significant expansion of the conflict, but it will not affect the outcome of the special operation. Given these conditions, we are taking countermeasures to defend the security of the Union state.
In Russia on Tuesday, health authorities reported that 40 people, including 3 minors, were injured and sought medical attention after a terrorist attack at a St. Petersburg cafeteria last Sunday, April 2nd. The explosion occurred during a meeting held by war blogger Maxim Fomin, known under the pen name Vladimir Tatarsky, who was killed instantly. According to Russian journals, 25 people remain in St. Petersburg hospital. The condition of 5 of them is critical. Meanwhile, police said that they have arrested a 26-year-old woman who confessed having taken a statuette carrying the explosive to the meeting. According to the Russian National Anti-Terrorist Committee, the attack was planned by Ukrainian special services. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov denounced on Tuesday that the United States is trying to obstruct the Russia-Africa summit and is trying to convince countries to absent themselves from the meeting. In an interview with the Argumenti and Fakti newspaper, the foreign minister said that boycotting the second summit to be held at the end of July in St. Petersburg is part of the campaign waged by Washington and its vessels to isolate Russia internationally. Lavrov also stressed that fewer and fewer countries are willing to sacrifice their interests to satisfy the United States and its allies. Lavrov said that the main difference between Russia and the West is that Moscow never teaches other countries how they should live. He summed up that Russia develops interstate cooperation based on the principles of international law, equality, and mutual respect of interest. A warning has been issued about a boat in danger in the mid-Mediterranean carrying some 500 migrants. Sea conditions are making rescue difficult. The warning came in Tuesday through an alarm phone, a telephone service that gets calls from barges that are in danger. This network sends the updated coordinates to the authorities, urging them to intervene. The barge in question is in the vicinity of Malta. There are 2 cargo ships in the area, but they do not have the capacity to carry out a massive rescue. Joining the efforts is the Geobarents ship belonging to the NGO Doctors Without Borders, but bad weather has so far hindered the rescue of the migrants. Australia has joined on Tuesday a number of countries in banning the TikTok app on all government devices. Attorney General Mark Dreyfus said the decision follows advice from the country's intelligence agencies and that it will be implemented as soon as possible. Previously, the United States, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, France, the Netherlands, and the European Commission had made the same decision on the grounds that the app, which has over 1 billion users worldwide, could be used to collect data that could then be allegedly shared with the Chinese government. Meanwhile, TikTok executives have criticized the move, saying such a ban is xenophobic and a form of censorship. teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat, Dial 461, and enjoy a Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. On Monday, at least 12 people have been killed and several others injured in a series of attacks in northeast and central Nigeria, officials said. In the state of Adamawa, unidentified gunmen burst into the village of Dabna in the district of Hong, killing 3 people, according to the spokesman of the local police, Suleiman Gurohe. Also among the suspects attacked localities in central Kogi state. The governor's spokesman, Muhammad Onoku, claimed that a local politician was killed and others were affected by these attacks. No group had claimed responsibility for the attack on Monday, but the Boko Haram group regularly launches attacks in the region from their lair in the Sambisa forest in neighboring Borno state. President Muhammadu Buhari, who leaves office in May, leaves to his successor Bola Tinubu a country dealing with insurgency in the northeast and criminal gangs in the northwest and center. On Tuesday, an avalanche left at least 6 people dead near the Nathula mountain pass in the state of Sikkim in India. According to the Indian Border Roads Organization, the avalanche swept through a group of tourists in the Himalaya zone, killing 6 people and injuring 11 others. The incident took place near the Nathula mountain pass, a major tourist destination located on the border with China. Authorities and media also reported that rescue teams were continuing to search for other missing people and that 22 survivors were rescued from the snow and taken to a hospital for treatment. The Himalayan region is considered an ecological sensitive area severely affected by global warming, which makes it prone to events of this nature. Rescue efforts continue in the Democratic Republic of the Congo after the landslide that hit the North Kivu province, killing at least 20 people, while several others are still missing. The Masisi provincial government and a local official reported on Monday that the bodies of 8 women and 13 children were discovered after the landslide hit a river in the locality of Bolowa on Sunday as people were washing clothes and cleaning kitchenware. 1 person survived and has been taken to a health center. The local officials believe there must be more victims buried in the mud as search efforts continue on Tuesday, but hopes of finding them alive are scarce. According to the governor of North Kivu province, the mudslide may have been triggered by days of heavy rainfall. On Tuesday morning in Bangladesh, a massive fire broke out and quickly spread throughout a cheap popular clothing market in the capital, destroying thousands of small stores. The fire started at the Banga Bazaar market in Dhaka at around 6:10 a.m. local time, but no casualties were immediately reported. The fire department and the army worked hard to put out the fire in the shortest time possible. Still, it took 6 hours and the whole area was reduced to a pile of ashes. Fires breaking at commercial places in Bangladesh are not uncommon, especially at places with low supervision and lack of fire safety measures. The market is a popular destination for cut-price Western fashion brands such as Tommy Hilfiger, selling clothes that were produced in the city's garment factories but failed to meet export standards. In Syria, at least 2 people were killed after an Israeli attack in Damascus. This is the 4th aggression against the Arab country in a week. According to the preliminary information, the projectiles came from the occupied Golan Heights, and it was specified that one of them was aimed at a raider in the Sueda refugee camp, while another one hit a glass factory in the Al-Kishwa area, killing the 2 civilians. Previously, it was learned that the missiles also hit the vicinity of Damascus International Airport, as well as an Iranian compound near the Saida area, while Syrian anti-aircraft defense intercepted at least 2 of them. With this new attack, Tel Aviv deepens the policy of aggression against Syria. On April 4th, we remember the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in Memphis, Tennessee, a leader of the civil rights movement whose legacy in the fight for equality still inspires those who fight for justice in the United States and the world. The activist who played a decisive role in the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1964 was shot on April 4th, 1968, while greeting his followers from the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in the city of Memphis. Luther King was arrested several times for his activities. The Reverend was also the target of numerous assaults, and just a week before that tragic day, he was in that city to support the strike of black garbage workers who were demanding better working conditions. His assassination sparked massive demonstrations. His fight for the respect of the human rights of the Afro-American population, of the poorest, and of all the victims of injustice is still a pending issue in the United States. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.